This is my Unit 16.3 coaching. So coaching session preparation. So these are my aims and objectives for the session. So they should be able to learn how to do a sprint start, be able to take part in a fun relay competition at the end of the session, and to be able to all run 50 metres in one go. So information on the participants. So the participants we had were a Year 4 group of mixed gender people, and their skill level was mixed ability. And so any medical information, we just had one girl with asthma who had their pump with them, and a boy with a sore foot that he said he would stop if it started to hurt. So the facilities, resources and safety. So the location was at Carden Primary School, and it was on a big field behind it, which part of their school. The resources that we needed were, I needed someone to help me out, so that's why we did it in pairs. Hula hoops, cones and bean bags. So health and safety, I completed a risk assessment, which you'll see later, and emergency procedures. There were first aids on site, and if a fire alarm went off, we would stay on the field and have my phone with me in case I needed to call the first aider or call for help. So this is my lesson plan. So these are the objectives and the equipment I needed. So warm up, we started off by getting them into a circle and then going through and just asking if they've got any injuries or medical conditions that we should be aware of. And then we also went through the aims of the session as well as introducing ourselves. We then started off by playing the video game, which is as a pulse raiser. So we're using like simple commands. So stop was stop, play was slow jog, fast forward, fast jog / run, rewind, jog backwards. And then we asked them all to come in. We did that for approximately 5 minutes. Then after we did that, we just did some general dynamic stretches just to make sure that they didn't pull any other muscles whilst the lesson was going on. So then for the main activity, we started off by splitting the group into half into like 2 teams. So I took half a group and then my colleague took the other half. And then when we were in our little groups, we did some fun sprinting games. Apart from we had to change that slightly because the ground was slippery because it was raining. So we actually started off by doing the beanbag game, which you'll see later on in the session. We had to switch it around a bit. And then we went through the sprint start and then we did that over a 50-metre sprint of them trying it out, just so they managed to get it. And then after like a quick break, we then did some little in our individual groups. We did some relays there just to make sure they did it. And then before we did the big relay against my team and then my colleague's team together, we played a game of dishes and domes. So this got the children to work in their teams, but also work individually to see how many domes or dishes, like depending on what their group was given, they could get before the 3 minutes was up. I repeated this 3 times, with the last time being in a bigger area, so that everyone from their team went at once compared to them all going at one at a time. And then, as I said, we finished off with a relay over 50 metre, and they just went in a straight line, high-fiving the next person to go because obviously the ground was slippery. So the cool down, we got them into a circle, did some basic stretches. We asked them to have one, to give one each, so that we all did that, so then they felt like they were being part of a session. We also asked if they had any feedback that they could give us in terms of how the session went. And then we asked them to get into pairs and also to tell us how, the teaching points of the sprint start and to demonstrate them just to make sure that they knew what it was. So this is the risk assessment I did. So just got the hazards like bumping into each other, tripping and slipping over, dehydration, pulled muscle, inadequate footwear clothing, like the weather because it was really raining, and like asthma. So there are all the risk assessments there. So this is my lesson review. So as I've already said, my 3 aims were to learn how to do a sprint start, be able to take part in a fun relay, and to be able to run 50 metres in one go. I think that our group achieved 2 out of the 3 aims. They were all able to take part in the fun relay at the end, which was over a distance of 50 metres. So that case, they were able to complete aim 3 as well, which was to run 50 metres in one go. One of the aims was to learn how to do a sprint start, and about half the group achieved this, however the other half didn't. This was clear throughout the races, but also at the end when we got them into pairs to explain to each other how to do it with a demonstration. So my SWOT review. So you've got strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and then threats. So the strengths I've got, so had quite good discipline, changed the groups to equal ability, and had a good warm-up cool-down. The warm-up and cool-down were good due to the good planning that we did beforehand. Having good discipline was down to the delivery because we didn't know who we were, so we had to deal with it at that time and we couldn't prepare. And changing the groups up was down to delivery due to the fact that we didn't know the ability of the groups again, so we had to change it up when we were there. So weaknesses. One of my weaknesses was giving them praise for things that weren't necessarily right. That was down to delivery because we had a young age group. I didn't want to knock their confidence, so I probably overpraised them slightly. Also, running out of things to do was down to the planning, because I didn't anticipate for the children to go through the activities so quickly, and also for the weather to be bad. Not spending enough time in the sprint start was down to planning, because when I had it on paper I only left a little bit of time for it, so that there was more time for the games at the end. Opportunities. So to help me as a coach, I was going to go down to my local athletics club and ask them to give and explain to me a couple of drills I could do to help me with the coaching of a sprint start, and also activity to see if I if I ran out of time next time, then I'd be able to do something about it. So doing a coaching assistant course level 1 is good for anyone aged over 16 or over and is interested in taking their first steps into coaching. This qualification will allow you to assist the delivery of a session whilst getting paid. However, you will have to be supervised by a qualified coach. You can go straight into this course without any qualifications beforehand, but they do say that having a sports leaders award is encouraged, and also the basics of biomechanics will be taught on this course. So the cost of this course is £245. However, if you're a England Athletics club member, then it will only cost you £185, and some clubs will pay for athletes to do the course if there is an interest in them and they have the funding. So this one here is at a college in Hampshire, so it's quite far away, and it's a 2-day course and it's over the weekend with no assessment at the end. So this one's on the 1st July to the 2nd of July. This course will help me to improve my coaching skills, as it will allow me to learn how to teach a variety of skills whilst also being taught how to discipline and praise them in the right way and in the right time, in the right times. This course will also allow me to coach more, and therefore I can get more experience, which will help me to further improve. This course will not only help me with the delivery of the sessions, but also the planning, as it will give me tips on time management. After I've completed the course, it will then open up further doors, so I'll be able to do a level 2 course, which will then make me a better coach in the long run, because I'll be able to do it on my own. So going back to this, so the threats, unless you belong to a club, this is the threats to the opportunities. Unless you belong to the club, the course itself is very expensive to do. So for most people, they may have to get funding from somewhere, like England Athletics, to actually take part in doing the course. And this will require a lot of planning to get the funding. Although there are quite a few courses, they're not really near me and are at least a 2-hour drive away, and they last the whole weekend. So in order to actually do the course, I'll have to plan to not work at the weekend, and then actually plan how I'm going to get up there, where to stay, and how much it will cost. This could then limit me as a coach, because I won't have the knowledge that to coach efficiently, so the children might not get as much out of it as I hope. And also, if I wanted to go and do some more coaching, others that have already done the course might have a bigger advantage. So we've also got the level 2 coaching in running fitness course. So this is my second course I was looking at. So this endurance running qualification primarily looks at those working for runners up to and including the developmental stage group. So they must have completed a level 1 course in the coaching assistant beforehand, and this is not designed for people who want to do train people on the track based. This is based on endurance events rather than specific track events like steeplechase or something like that. And when you're qualified, you'll be able to coach on your own without supervision. So course dates for this one are the 22nd of July to 23rd. However, you've then got a third training day, which is on the 2nd of December, and then an assessment day, which is on the 3rd of December. So the location for this one is there, and the cost for this is £420, but if you're an England Athletics member, then it's £255, and the minimum age for this is 18. This will be a good secondary course to do after doing the coaching assistant course, because it will then give me another qualification which will allow me to coach alone, and it then allows me to do specific coaching and endurance runners if that's what I wanted to go ahead and do. I will also gain more experience with this course because then I'm working alone, which means I'd have to correct my own mistakes and I'd have to work on them without someone telling me what to do. The issue with this course, however, is that it's extremely expensive, even to the England Athletic Club members, so some people may struggle to fund it themselves. Another issue is that you have to do a weekend away, which might be quite far away, but you also then have to do a third training day and then an assessment day, which you have to commit to before booking.